from me, George Riley. Welcome to the KC Stadium, or at least the bench on the KC Stadium. We're hiding because the weather is absolutely awful, really great, it's lashing it down. So we're just having a nice sit down on these leather seats. We're going to pop inside actually in a moment and meet the coach, Richard Agar, who's hoping for a slightly more successful season with the Black and Whites, at least in Super League this season. Some of the players he's brought in as well. We'll hear from the Chief Executive, James Rule, and the likes of Mark Calderwood and Chris Thorman, two players coming in with a point to prove. 16-1 with the RFL's official bookmakers, William Hill, are Agar's side, to win Super League in 2009. So we're back inside, thankfully, away from the rain, and we're going to meet some of the players for Hull FC this coming season. Shaun Berrigan's with us. Nice weather for you today. It's quite nice outside, quite pleasant.
Yeah, not the best weather. Luckily, we've got the photos done inside today because outside's pretty miserable.
What about this coming season? A lot of points to prove, really, for Hull FC. Great season in terms of the Challenge Cup last year, but a lot of room for improvement in the league, obviously.
Yeah, Super League season was very disappointing. You know, we had a terrible run with injuries, and you know, hopefully this year, you know, Richard's brought some new coaching staff in, and we've got a few new signings. So you know, everyone's been training really well. So yeah, we're all looking forward to see what the season brings. Injuries
really hurt you last season. Could you put your finger on why it didn't click? Because you really talked about at the start of the year as a real force in Super League, and then it just never really clicked into gear, did it? Yeah,
you know, you can make a lot of excuses for us last year. Obviously, we never really had a settled halves pairing, you know, which you know is very vital to each team, and that was one major factor. But at the end of the day, we just had too many injuries, and the guys in the paddock, we just weren't doing the job we're paid to do. So you know, we know this year, you know, we want to go far in the comp. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens.
What have you made of some of the new faces that Richard Agar has brought in? A mixed bunch, and some guys also with a point to prove.
Yeah, for sure. All the new guys are fitting really well, and you know, they're all good blokes, and everyone's been training really hard. And the more competition you have for spots, you know, the better the team will be. So I'm looking forward to see the first team on the field.
You mentioned settled halfbacks. Obviously, Chris Thorman's come in and hopes that he will be one of those halfbacks. But you've also got the likes of Horn and Tommy Lee, who are going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and also you know, Daniel Washbrook can play in the halves as well. And you know, Chris has been training really well, and it'd be good just to have you know, some halves there week in, week out. You know, so the team can get some continuity. And really looking forward to see him on the park with Rich.
What are you going to try and give the fans this year? Obviously, they're going to want to see a big improvement in Super League, but with a 14-team Super League, there's going to be a lot of competition this year. We've already spoken to Salford on Super League TV. They're already back in Super League, targeting a top 8 finish, and they're looking to the playoffs already.
Yeah, I think every team, that's the main goal, is to get to the playoffs, and we'll be no different. You know, last year we got to the Challenge Cup final for the fans, but you know, as I said, the Super League season was poor, so hopefully we can get to the finals this year in the Super League.
I'm excited about the season. I think the boys have been training enough weeks now that they're getting a little bit twitchy, and the alpha male instincts are getting the better of them, and they're ready for a game. We've got a vital week coming up in Portugal for our pre-season camp, which is obviously going to be an integral part of our planning and getting some quality work done over there, and then when we get back, we're pretty much down to business.
So what's the alpha male instinct that's coming out? Do I want to know about that?
I think the guys just want a game, mate. I think, you know, we've had an extended pre-season this year. Obviously, we had no representative, or very little representative commitment, and we had a full off-season to get them training, and you know, like players do, they're ready to pull the shirt on and get some contact and you know, let out some of the steam, I think.
And a nice position for you to be in now as head coach of Hull FC. Going into the season, you can build up to a season and mould your side from the very start of the season, not just have to sort of step in when things might go wrong during it.
Yeah, sure, yeah, I've got used to that, but I think that's been a bit of a key for us, George. We've had some changes to his coaching staff, so we've obviously had a merging or crossing of ideas, and we've had to drum out what we think is the best and the right path to take this group of players at this particular time up. We think we've done that, and you know, we laid the plan down and we've stuck to his plan and followed it, and we're quite happy exactly where the players are at the moment. As I say, camp's going to be integral for us. And I'd hope that by the time, you know, we've laid down some detail and some systems in camp, the boys will be ready to go, you know, physically and technically.
Yeah, it's good. Preparation's been great this season. We've been fortunate that sort of we haven't had much last year was a little bit of a disturbance with players playing international, but that's not happened this year. I think we've only had Mark who's played representative footy, so everybody's back in and ready to go to Portugal on Wednesday.
And I'm guessing as soon as last season finished, you were pretty much wanting the next one to start and to really show how good this side is, because you didn't do yourself justice last year.
No, it was a massive disappointment, and I'm sure the rest of the squad are going to use that as a little bit of motivation. Going into this year, we had chronic injuries and stuff happening off the field, but we just wasn't good enough last year, and we need to improve. Everybody knows that, from the coaching staff to even to the physio staff.
And the run to the Challenge Cup would have given you that taste for the big occasion, and made you even more eager, would have thought, to make sure come the business end of this season you're right in the mix.
That's right, yeah. It was a bit of a sort of a saving grace last year, obviously the league form being so disappointing, but to get to the final was great. Obviously the result never went our way, and hopefully one or two of the young lads have had a taste of it and want it even more this year.
I've come to wanting to play and wanting to win stuff, so I'm not no different from everyone else in the squad, so hopefully I can try and do that.
It was a pretty disappointing season for Hull FC last year. What was it when you had this offer that stood out to you and thought, yeah, I quite fancy that?
Yeah, I looked beyond that. They had a lot of injuries, but they showed how they can play. Obviously, getting to the Challenge Cup final, and how they played in that. So I wanted to move back to Yorkshire, and who showed their interest, so I decided to come here. Obviously, playing at the KC is always special. The crowd are very passionate. Obviously, they'll be shouting for me instead of against me, obviously, when I was at Leeds, but obviously they were big things.
But you seem to thrive on that, don't you? I mean, I watched it quite a lot when you were at Leeds, living in Leeds myself, and every time you went to opposing venues, you got a bit of stick, but I suppose that's because you were seen as a danger on the opposition players.
No, I don't know. I wind people up quite a bit, and I don't think people like me that much, but you want to prove people wrong, and every time you go on the field, that's what you tend to do. And if people are giving you stick, I reckon they do see you as a danger, so it's good to know that.
The ingredients that we've got in place this off-season is as good as anything I've seen in my time at the club, in terms of we haven't had a lot of international disruption, which out of a negative comes a positive. The guys have been in training a lot longer than they would be normally if they'd been on international duties. We've got two new faces in the coaching team, in John Sharp as our football operations manager and Ben Cooper as our conditioner. They've brought a huge amount of knowledge and passion and enthusiasm to the role, and that's been translating to what's been delivered to the players. You then look at what's going on off the field, in terms of we're about to go through 8,000 season pass holders. That's the quickest we've ever reached that landmark in the club's history, and you put all these things together and it certainly bodes well for 2009.